5:31, I'm calling to order this regular meeting of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation at City Hall, Thursday, June 24th, 2021. If y'all would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Oh, jeez. What's your stuff? Flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Let me go back for the record and state that Tony is on vacation this week and Alan is running late. We have all other members of the board currently here. And item number 3, announcements. Do we have any announcements?
Patricia?
Four? No, she's visitors to be heard.
Well, no.
Well,
We used to do announcements.
Well, it's Riverfest weekend this weekend, and that will be at the Twin Elm Guest Ranch. An all-day affair, barbecue cook-off, car show, Rebel Roxy, Tillman Brothers. So that's going on. Go to BanderaCowboyCapital.com to see all of the activities for the 4th of July weekend. There are tons of them all
Good.
around. So I don't have those memorized, but I can tell you there will be fireworks both at the Twin Elm and at the Red Horse Saloon, and live music, an extended market days on the courthouse lawn on Saturday, the pep parade on Sunday the 4th, the American Legion parade on the 3rd in Lake Hills. So that's a full weekend, and don't forget there's a rodeo every Friday night at Mansfield Park. Boom. Quick rundown. Nothing happening.
Any other announcements? Okay.
We used to do this.
Visitors to be heard. Do we have anybody sign up? Okay. Skip go on ahead. Item number 5, the consent agenda. Did everybody get an opportunity to read the minutes from the June 10th and special meetings?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I was raising my hand to do that. I'll second it.
Okay. Laura makes a motion to approve consent agenda. Christine
Second.
seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed? Perfect. Okay. Meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes.
Yep.
That's what it will be.
We got presentation from Ms. Patricia Moore on the solar eclipse.
It is a meat and potatoes. That I gave handouts to literally everybody that's here, as well as an event happening Tuesday, June 29th from 12 to 1:30. That is actually a Zoom meeting, so you can register yourself and watch it. Laura is a member of the Hill Country Alliance. I am also familiar with what they have done, but if you don't think this is important, this is the 3rd in the series of Hill Country roundtables discussing these issues. This one will have representatives from Carbondale, Illinois, which experienced totality in 2017. They will experience totality again in 2024. So they will tell us some of the pros and cons and the where-tos and how-tos. And then usually with the roundtable, they go around and ask representatives from each area to speak. So that's one portion of it, but it talks about how important it is. If anybody doesn't think that this is revving up, we had a gentleman in the office today that said he had somebody that works with NASA, that NASA sent him to this place. Needs to be all of that things verified, that he would be here, but everything that I was listening from the man sounded legit. The mayor actually had a gentleman contact her, and she forwarded the information to me, that is an official NASA ambassador and wants to be in this area and provide several free programs. So I have quickly responded to the gentleman, because he also wanted to visit with Jerry Hollingsworth, that we're quite interested in his proposals. Now, all of that being said, most of the people in this audience know that we had a meeting on April the 8th of county and city officials. And then we had invited the whole county, if they wanted to come, on May 4th. We are going to have another meeting on July 8th of county and city, what I call officials, superintendents and such. Because so many people are involved in different categories, I'm not going to invite, the whole board of EDC is not going to blanket an invitation. You know, it's for the chamber, Kelly got an invitation, you got an invitation. Trying to keep that audience at a minimum, or pardon me, a maximum of no more than 36 people, so that we can actually allow every person in the room to state their overall concerns. Don't expect to resolve them, and then develop an organizational chart and to go to action. But main thing I also wanted to bring to EDC's attention, the one proposal that we did receive from the NASA ambassador, we may receive better opportunities, or more opportunities, more is better, always, is incorporating what he's proposing with his telescopes and that it would be turned into an event. So for 2024, I would love, and even 23, a verification from the EDC with their lawyer on this reserving funds to work on these items, be promotional or a specific project that would be handled. Because some of the expenses that could be incurred are definitely well with, not in the parameters of a standard city budget, but the sales tax coming in from these events, the 2023 one will be minimal, but the 2024 will be outrageous. So how can the EDC still support our local and then also be able to help bring in the nuts and bolts that it will take to pull these off? But that, if we don't start talking about that now,
Right.
and wait till 2024, two things. Number one, we're too late to get what we need, and 2024, finding out we can't do it legally. So, thank you very much. That's my spiel.
Great.
Oh, yes, Christine.
What time is the meeting? Do you have a time for the July 8th meeting?
It's at noon. It's at 12:30 out at Mansfield Park.
12:30. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
but
you.
like I said, I talked with the judge, and who all he wants to come when you get the constables, and you get Butts, and then Will's been invited, the mayor's been invited, you got an invitation as a city council member. It adds up very quickly to write out that magic number.
Well, the benefit to me is I bring 3
Right,
groups.
right, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm not
so-
criticizing,
Yeah.
it's just,
so if
Right.
I can, yeah,
If you
I
get
can
2.
report back to 3 groups.
right, and
yeah.
if you get too many people in a room,
Yeah.
we'll never move forward.
Right.
And that's not saying, and also one thing that our office has done, we have purchased every domain name that has Bandera Eclipse 2023-24, Lake Hills, Medina, all the way across, one for the county. If God wills it, we will have what will look like a brand new website, but it's really a complete reskin. And we'll be able to, if somebody's hunting eclipses in our area, they will immediately hit on that website and then be sent to a landing page that takes them directly to the main website, Bandera Cowboy Capital. We're busy.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's one thing that's happening.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much
You're
for that
welcome.
presentation. It is 5:40 and Alan has shown up. And now
I thought it
we're
was
on.
at Best Western.
We figured.
We figured.
We figured. Was there
That's
anybody
what
else
old
hanging
people
around?
do, you know. And it's dark in there, so. Could have done that. You know, I mean, what the heck happened?
That would be a solar eclipse presentation.
I put up with it from my wife all the time.
I know.
Okay, we are are on to agenda item number 7, discussion and possible action on the promotional funds applications. 7A is Bandera Honors Veterans 2021. If you look in your packet, about halfway through, there's a whole lot of receipts and so this is the Veterans Day event that happens, that's put on by the American Legion. They are asking for $2,000 for promotional funding.
Here,
They've
it's your next.
provided all kinds of stuff.
I went through
Yeah.
every page too. And
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
separate packet. Good job.
Yes.
Alan, did you find it? Go.
I'm working.
It's in your
I've looked
separate.
in it.
Oh,
It's in the second
it's-
packet. Sorry, I was
The sec-
doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Not
Second
to take,
stapled.
Take
thing.
over for you, but it's this one.
Well, thank you.
Terrible, Lauren.
Hey,
Somebody's got to.
well, wait, I kept looking after the financials.
You had
and
been
I-
assistant right here.
Right after the financials.
Great job.
Well,
you did it.
yeah,
We just.
two-
You got it.
Okay, so total cost of their event is $6,000. They're asking for $2,000. The second page, they've got a pretty detailed breakdown of where all of the money would be going. $800 alone for flyers, newspapers, PSAs, ranch radio and TV. Yes, Laura.
I make a motion that we give Bandera Honor Veterans Parade $2,000.
Okay. Do we have a second? Alan seconds. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay. 7B is Buckfest. That should be the very next application. Annual package. After I get through all the rest of this stuff. Okay, so Buckfest put on by
Bandera County Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. It's been going on for quite a few years now.
59 years this year.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Total cost of the event is $31,000, and they are requesting $4,000 for promotional funding. They did not request promotional funding last year. They did get city hot funds last year in the amount of $3,620, and they raised just shy of $65,000. So it does profit to the Chamber of Commerce.
How much do we have left?
We have 2,000 left.
Yes,
That-
and that
okay.
exact number is gonna be on the budget versus actuals. It's gonna reflect on that.
So, yeah,
Okay.
after 7A, we have exactly 2,000 left.
I
Yes,
make-
Laura?
I make a motion that we give Buckfest $2,000.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, Christine seconds. Any discussion?
I just want to point out that the money that they make, that the chamber makes, is the only money they make for the whole year to pay their bills, to any of the parades, promotions, anything they do. This is the only event they do for themselves to pay their rent, their employee, and so on. So
Minus their dues.
dues, yeah, but that's, trust me, that's nothing compared to what goes out
Right.
to do the events like the parades and stuff, what they pay for. And that $36.20 they were reimbursed, that was the exact amount they spent on advertising last year. And already there's a plan for bigger advertising this year. So,
Yes, Laura?
Do you, I guess I may be wrong, but doesn't the chamber get the funds from some of the market days?
No.
A couple of the year?
No.
Tom? Oh, okay.
Well, Memorial Day,
They don't make any money.
From the
vendors.
vendors and everything?
Mm-mm. The
Vendor
vendors,
fees
no, they don't charge fees.
for market, for the.
Yeah.
We didn't even charge, we don't charge for the parade, we don't charge. You have to pay
No,
your,
no,
you have to
no,
pay
no.
your permits and all that.
No, what I'm saying is if I wanna sell my jewelry and set up a table, there is a vendor fee payable to the organization producing the event.
Well, this is the first time we took over the parade. The BBA always did that in the past.
Not the parade.
Not the parade.
No,
Right.
the whole, we didn't do the courthouse. The Chamber of Commerce didn't do the parade, the courthouse, anything. We took over Memorial to do, and were responsible for the courthouse for the first time this year. So
Done it many years in the past.
Jeannie Strickland's always done it
But
for the,
under the chamber.
She was,
Yeah.
Under the
she was
chamber.
just the event.
I'm sorry.
coordinator
so
under-
there may be a fee, but it's very minimal. It's not what they've charged for other events because the chamber doesn't strive to make money off of that.
But I mean, in
Even-
other words,
even
I know
so-
it's gone to the chamber.
So, okay.
Even-
so then
even
we have
so,
it
I-
wrong.
Vacation farms.
So then I'm wrong.
So the big point that I believe you were making is with one employee as a receptionist, secretary,
Office
employee running
Yeah.
the office full-time,
Mm.
when you look at what the annual salary of that
Right.
is versus what they actually take
Yeah.
in from this one event, I don't know what they charge for vendor fees on the courthouse. But if you're looking at $50 a vendor,
It's-
which I doubt it's that, but easy math.
On a bigger weekend, it is more than that, because
Okay.
I've printed and handed out the forms numerous
Yeah,
times.
but it depends on who's running.
I thought
So
y'all
you-
did it Memorial Day and Labor Day. That was
Labor Day-
my,
Either way, the
what I've been
amount of
told,
money
that
brought in
was-
from vendors still doesn't cover just what
No.
the salary of the office,
I understand.
what the
Right,
office
I-
person
I
is,
just
or the amount of,
was under
I
the-
would argue probably the ink and toner and paper
Sure.
for stuff that's
And-
photo.
And Jeannie Strickland doesn't do it for free. When she coordinate all that, she's not doing a service for free either. So that's all being billed too. If she's doing it on behalf of the chamber, she's getting paid for it.
okay.
So,
So
yeah.
I think the big takeaway was
No,
where's
no,
the
I
money
get
going
that,
to
but
Yeah,
and
but
what's
it's-
turnover.
I
yeah.
just
That Buckfest is
wanted
the biggest,
to clarify
yeah,
because I've been told.
it is the biggest thing that makes money. And if they don't make any money at Buckfest, then
Okay.
their
Any other-
year suffers. So.
Any other discussion on this? Yes, Alan.
Just a question. You know, last year was COVID, and they didn't ask for anything, and they made money. That's enough to. Okay, go ahead.
They didn't ask for anything because they actually laid off their office staff and the directors were scrambling to make everything happen, and we didn't know until 30 days before the event we were allowed to have the event.
Okay.
So it was all a big scramble, which is, this money just came from the city in their last go around because we did it as a post-event application.
I just thought there might be a little explanation there.
Yeah, and so that, not knowing we could do it, it was never planned, and there was no one in the office to do an application ahead of time like this, because the office person was let go due to COVID. So it was a big scramble last year, and yes, we made money last year. Remarkably, everybody has from COVID in Bandera, because people were ready to come out and spend money and do it. I mean, James McGrody probably had a bomb of a weekend too. I mean, huge. So
I've gone to this event every year that I've lived here, and
every year
I can
it's
tell
been
you
better.
that the gala alone, there are so many people from out of town that come in here, and they stay in hotels, they spend money here. A huge celebration that draws people from all over Texas for opening weekend of deer season.
Yeah. They don't live under underpasses.
They do not live
They
on
can't, they couldn't afford it.
No. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed? Okay, agenda item number 8. Discussion and possible action on reviewing of recommendation on EDC board applications. So every application that is in your packets, when reached out to, said they were still interested for EDC. And the last one in your packet was dropped off today. So this is the most up-to-date of everyone that is interested today. And do we have anyone in the audience who has in an application? Perfect. I was hoping that everybody that had an application would show up tonight. So, and we will start at the beginning. And when we get to yours, we may ask some questions. Absolutely.
Great.
Okay.
I practiced.
Okay, so the very first one, Mario Munoz. Anyone that doesn't know him, him and his wife Angela are the new owners of Kickback Corner. They moved here about a year and a half ago. Angela, is she on?
She's the director at the chamber.
She's director at the chamber.
New director at the chamber.
Yep. And Mario, this is the first position, the first civic application that he submitted for in town. I can tell you from personal experience, and disclaimer on this is I was dating his daughter until
That's an OMG
2.5 months ago. But even though I'm not dating her anymore, I will say that both him and his wife are amazing people as far as business owners in this town. When we had the snowstorm, they opened up Kickback Corner and told everybody on Facebook if they didn't have heat, if they didn't have water, if they didn't have anything, to come down, hang out in the heat because they had power, not to worry about purchasing anything. They were handing out free cowboy stew to anybody, and Mario, myself, and another person drove as far away as Ingram to deliver hot meals to people that didn't have power or a way out of their driveway to the stores or anything like that. So, and then if you've seen him, he likes to ride around during the holidays on his golf cart in costume. Around Christmas time, he was dressed as the Grinch, and his wife dressed as Miss Claus. During Easter, they were riding around their neighborhood, dressed up. They had one of their employees dressed as the Easter Bunny, and literally went to every house that had a party going on outside and asked if the Easter Bunny could come visit the kids. That's the type of people they are. Absolutely awesome when it comes to that. They are not city residents. They are county residents. They live in Riverbend. But they are city business.
But doesn't, the requirement is they have a city business front, right?
So, city council has talked about this already. Maybe you can clarify on this.
I didn't want to remember that.
So how many of these applicants
So, city council
are city?
voted to do away with the requirement of county resident, how many seats there were for county residents with businesses in the city versus city residents, things like that. And they are going with what Texas statute minimum requirement is, which is just a county resident. So all these applicants are, what's that?
Are eligible?
Are eligible. But I throw out where he lives and that because this is stuff that could come up with the city later on with appointments, and we are basically just making recommendations to the city council for appointment.
But you're saying that they're all eligible.
They are.
It's because they have a business here.
No, they
No,
are
no,
all
they did away
eligible
with that
because
statute.
city council has done away with it, and the minimum Texas mandate for the EDC is that they're just a resident of the county. No business ties, no anything.
Check this with Jerry.
Okay. Previously, the EDC requirements were that there was 5 city residents who had to live in the city, and 1 county that did not own a business, and 1 county that did own a business in the city.
And those were requirements that were set forth by city council, making it more stringent than
Right.
Texas statute.
Right,
Clarify it.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I bring that up simply so that people are thinking about that when,
So they did away with, you have to live within 5 miles of the ETTIE also?
yes. So they
Okay.
just went to Texas statute,
Texas
which
statute.
just says all you have to do to serve
Okay.
on the EDC is be a resident of the county, period.
Okay.
So.
I knew that was another little caveat.
Okay, so that is Mario Munoz. I would like to say that we go through all these applications. Anyone that knows them can speak on them.
Okay,
If they're here, we can ask them questions, have them speak on their own behalf, and then at the end, we can go back and make our decisions on recommendations if everybody's good with that. I
well,
would
city
also-
council will make the decision,
Our recommendations to
recommendations.
city council.
yeah.
I would also like to see, so we've got 1 vacant seat. We've got 2 members that are looking to be replaced currently, which means 3 recommendations for seats. I would also like to see at least 2 alternates that we recommend. So we recommend these 3 for these 3 seats, and these 2 as alternates to give to the city council.
So the members that are, Christine, you're 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tony's the other one?
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got 1 open seat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing, do we want to discuss everybody's term being up at the same time, maybe staggering this?
Yes, so the 3 of us all came on roughly about the same time. So something that we were throwing around as an idea is when we make the recommendation, and this will be up to the board discussing it and making, but when we make a recommendation saying we recommend these 3 people to city council to be appointed on such and such date in the future, and say it's November 1st or October 1st. That way there's a little bit of overlap, and then hopefully those that are recommended and appointed have a little bit of left seat, right seat time with those that they're taking over for, and can kind of be get their feet wet before they're just thrown in on it. So I know Christine wants to leave right now.
I didn't just got thrown in. What are you talking about?
It's too many meetings, isn't it,
Yeah.
Christine?
I know. Especially
But-
when there's 3 in one day. I'm like, can't turn my hat around quick enough.
Okay. So next one is Jacqueline Pack, Medina ISD teacher. Anybody know her personally?
I do. She was the 1st grade teacher to my daughter at Medina ISD,
Okay.
and her son is in my son's class at Medina ISD, so I do know her personally. And I know she's been a lifelong resident of Bandera and was interested in this obviously because of how much she cares about the city and what she would like to do here. Other than that, I can just speak to her character, which is she's a fantastic teacher, truly cares, and if she cares half as much about Bandera as she does about teaching, then we're certainly very lucky to have her.
Okay. She states, I hope to serve as a member, as a native of Bandera. Family members own businesses in Bandera. We are raising our children in Bandera. I would appreciate the opportunity to assist in the best interest of our community's economic growth and opportunities.
Has she been a teacher for long?
I think 7 years, and I think she was a teacher before that, but taking care of her children.
Okay. Next one is Billy Greason. Currently retired. And notes on the bottom of it was he was going out of town this week, so he couldn't be here.
That was way back.
Yeah.
Was that way back?
Yeah, that's
not-
a really old note.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know him, but I probably know a whole bunch of people that know him,
Okay.
if that helps. I mean, 'cause I was an ex-president of a Halliburton company, so I know a lot of the Slumberjay vice presidents.
Okay.
This one doesn't ring a bell, but that's
Doesn't
a
with
huge
me
campus
either.
they have.
Right.
You know that.
There's a lot of them.
Okay. Does anyone else know him?
I spoke to him
Okay.
at the meeting, but didn't do more than, basically say hello.
Okay. So, says, I hope to utilize the experience gained in the past 36 years of business development and growth to assist in the continued growth of the great city of Bandera while maintaining the small town charm. Next one is Nancy Harvey. I know some of you know her.
Mm-hmm.
I think we probably all do.
She's on the chamber. She's a director on the chamber as well.
Mhm. Who would like to speak on behalf of Nancy? Yes, Alan.
I think you've all met Nancy. She talks a really good game,
Mm-hmm.
and you think it's bigger than life. Well, I had it checked out. I have two personal friends that you probably both know. I mean, everybody both knows. And they told me she's the real deal. Or she's been PR a long time. And the two friends are Billy Gibbons and Michael Martin Murphy. And they've known her for a long time. I've known Billy since 1968. That's ZZ Top, if you don't know. And Billy's hard to get hold of. He lives in Steamboat, but he still has a house in Sugar Land, I believe. And they both talked highly of her. And what I can say about that is she can bring a lot to this city if we continue to involve her. Let's put it that way. But she is. You never know when she's going to pop off, man. So, and Kinky's a good friend too.
So my experience on the chamber with her is that she talks a good game, and she is mad about all the things we do wrong, but she never brings a resolution to the table. And when she does and has a deadline, she never follows through and she commits and then doesn't finish
I can
anything
believe that.
for us. And I know she has health issues too. And
She
so,
wants to.
Yeah, but that's just been a struggle because we think she's on it and then it doesn't happen. So I don't know that 2 boards then would be something in her, especially with health-wise, that 2 boards plus her business is something she can physically handle. That would be my only drawback.
Laura?
I'm in agreement with Christine.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak on it? Okay. Moving forward, Donna Ross.
Who's here?
Yay.
Woo!
Okay, self-employed, real estate investor, landlord, business partner.
Well, can I
Oh.
speak on Donna's behalf?
Absolutely.
And then we can ask. I met Donna, about a year ago?
That's right,
We were-
bakery. No,
Uh,
at the first debate out at the.
Bricks, I believe. We were
No,
sitting.
it was before we met.
Oh, was it? I can't remember.
The city council debate that was out
Right.
at BEC when Jerry was running
That's
and
right.
Rebecca was running. Yes.
That's right. The thing that has impressed me about Donna is she's at all of the city council meetings. She's at all of the EDC meetings. And to me, that speaks volumes. Jared, you did the same thing when you were interested. To me, that says you're committed. You're already giving your time.
Nice way to put it, thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else like to comment before we?
Know anybody else?
Okay.
But I will say, the project we're working on is on Old Medina Highway at the end, and Harriet Stewart is my partner. She's been in town for 5 years plus with her historical rides, and we're expanding on that business. We built a barn with all local people, the guy who did all the metal work on the hotel, Jason and his wife, and they did a beautiful job at the barn. It's just finishing up now. We're just getting everything ready, and she's got children's activities planned for every weekend. I went home and told her about heads in beds and all this stuff that I've learned at the meetings. And I said, we can't put the heads in the beds, but we can attach ourselves on a weekend. They need a Sunday activity or a Saturday evening activity, whatever we can fit in to help go with that. And what else? I don't know if she's planning on a grand opening. She's already contacted the chamber, and for I guess the end of July, somewhere in July. So everyone's invited, of course.
And that's right next door to my daughter's best friend's house, so it works out.
Oh, that's
Ah.
Brandy and Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else have any questions now that you've heard Donna talk?
Like Donna has said, volumes.
Perfect.
I think she needs to be on the board.
Okay, that's just
All right, and
I didn't make the
then
motion yet.
last
Oh.
of our applications tonight is Andy Wilkerson, retired, and wants to improve the city as a whole for the future of our children. Lifelong resident of the area. Doesn't say whether he lives in the city, works in the city, anything else. It
He's
just-
in the county.
Well, he said, up here, he says he's not a qualified voter in the city, so.
Okay, so
And
county.
he says, does he live in the city limits? No, so he's
Why do
county.
we have that on both pages then?
Well,
Okay,
because
yeah.
this application, because that's asking you what board or whatever.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, does anyone know Andy? Yes.
I don't know him well. I believe, and Patricia, you may know this, wasn't he a former county commissioner?
Yes, it was.
I know he is one of the good old boys and has a real vested interest in what goes on in the community.
Okay. Yes, sir?
Is that Wilkerson with an IR or an ER, because I have one of each that live in my subdivision?
ER.
ER?
ER.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So those are all the applicants. So we will go back to Mario. Like I said, I would like to see 3 recommendations and 2 alternates. So, but I will leave that up to y'all. So first one is Mario Munoz. Do we have a motion for Mario?
Hang on,
Hold
can
on,
you hang on one
just-
second?
yeah,
Yep,
let me get the
okay.
name.
That's what I want to do.
Absolutely.
I'm trying
I will
to keep
do-
my
Yeah.
everyone straight.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I don't,
Sometimes I try and push through too fast, so just slow me down.
So we have 6 here, that's, right? 6
Mhm.
applicants, okay. So we have 1 now and then 2 when to replace resignations,
Mhm.
and then you want 2 backup recommendations.
Well, and that's just what I'd like to see,
Yeah,
but if
no, I
y'all
agree.
want to see something else, then yes, Laura.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Donna Ross to fill the vacant seat that we have now.
Okay. Do we have a
I
second?
would second that.
Okay, Christine seconds that. Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed?
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Of course, this has to go to city council.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion for our 2 other seats to nominate that would eventually take Christine and Tony's place to be Mario and Andy.
Mario and Andy, okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that one.
Christine seconds. Any discussion?
I just don't feel like we know very much about Andy
I
to
don't feel,
really.
we don't know very much about
We don't,
Encourage it.
well, we
Right,
don't
I
know
mean, I
anything
do get
about
that,
any of the
yeah.
rest of them either. The
I
city
do know a
council,
little bit more, though. I mean, I don't know where he worked. I don't know what credentials he has, or what he wants to do more than. So for me, Andy's kind of vague.
okay. Well, and I feel the same thing about Jackie.
Right.
I've
of
never
course.
heard of her either. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Ms.
No, I
Patricia has
completely
something to say?
understand.
Because I do know Andy, he has, as a county commissioner, he was very involved with the Sister City program, as well as, at one point, the Historical Commission, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe
Has
you're
Mosley-
right.
Has Commissioner Mosley arrived? No, he was gonna come tonight. So he is very familiar with the county. He has, I don't know if it's ever been a land clearing business or what, but he has bobcats and equipment like that and has worked all around the area. He proposed something, and I was in agreement with his proposal, but it didn't go through because the other people saw it as a takeover. And his proposal actually, a little bit of understanding, Bandera, the Junior Livestock Show Barn is owned by the Junior Livestock Show Association. However, it is on county property. And as commissioner, and he was over Mansfield Park, his suggestion was that the county take over the Bandera Junior Livestock Show Barn. That would make them totally responsible for the upkeep of it, the maintenance of it, etc. But the way it was going about it looked like they were trying to steal it from that association. So it was a big hullabaloo when he ran for re-election. I know his heart was in the right spot, because trying to lease Mansfield Park for an event, you have to lease from the Junior Livestock Show Association, Bandera County, and it's, can I dare say, a real challenge. So, in the county, I don't know if they're paid rent because of the fact that the county extension agent, not the right name anymore, Texas AgriLife,
Yeah.
but all of that is involved. And that's one of the challenges he did have. He's no longer really active doing a lot of physical things. I do know, and I don't know how public this is, so I don't want to say, but he has a health challenge, but it sure doesn't impact this part of his working ability and his concentration level. So that's kind of the little bit of background I can share with you. So, you don't know anything about your other lady, you know her as a school teacher, so that's what I can share about Andy.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And he's the infamous person that made my cow shit hat.
Oh,
Okay.
that's okay.
That's Andy.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Did you see me wear it?
I've seen it.
So there you go. He created all of the cow patties for the cow patty.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's been involved in activities.
Any more discussion?
As far as my discussion, I absolutely support, Donna here with meeting you and what you had to say. I mean, that speaks volumes. As far as the rest, I just don't feel like we know more than what's on here to really make a recommendation as far as that goes. So for me personally, I would like to just see us, continue forward with who we've nominated and let the city council go from there, or readdress this later.
Okay. Laura?
I was gonna say that I know that city council is gonna want to interview everybody. And at this point, I think what you're saying makes sense.
Thank you.
Christine?
I was just gonna say that I'm still fully support a decision of Mario, because I do know him and I've worked with him and Angela on chamber stuff, and he's jumped right in and helped when he doesn't have to help with chamber. And I know he would like to be involved, and he doesn't want to do the chamber because that's where she's at. He wants to be separate from that, so that, but
Laura?
I'm not sure that we can sit here and debate this, but I have a feeling city council will make their own decisions, at least from what I've seen in.
but they
The
still want
past few years.
recommendations from
Okay.
us, so.
Okay. Alan?
I would just like to say, you know, I think it's important, like I brought up in the last meeting, we have a deadlocked board. We can actually come to a 3-3 roadblock. That getting this, and I know Christine and Tony want to leave, but that being said, I think we ought to push hard to put the 7th person on
Yes,
at this point,
Mm-hmm.
so that we don't face that situation.
that's
ever.
why I made the motion that I did.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I agree. That's the important part, is having that.
That 7th person,
Yeah.
yes.
Tony and I-
You can't have an even number, guys.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
Right.
Tony
so
and I
we
can
do,
do what we do until
we do have
otherwise.
a motion and a second on the table. All in favor?
We already did that.
We didn't take a vote,
I
we
thought
were
we-
still in discussion.
Oh, we didn't do a vote on?
No.
Okay.
All
we
in
did.
favor of, the motion was for Mario and
Oh, that
Andy.
one, that
Andy.
motion.
So all in favor,
I think we decided.
none in favor, all opposed?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we decided to
Motion
rename
dies.
that.
Do we have a new motion? Laura?
I make a motion that we wait to make our future nominations until we have a chance to get to know the candidates.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, Lauren seconds. Any discussion?
I just agree with that, but the fact that then we have a 7th person.
Right.
So I sort of what city council did was wait to have the positions filled in order to appoint their other missing ones after they did their election. Same with us, let's get the 7th person on here
Yeah.
so that we can make a better,
So with this
Decision.
motion,
yes.
if
I'm in
it
agreement.
goes through, then we would be sending the recommendation of Donna to city council, and that's it,
Mhm.
and see what they come back with. Any more discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed?
Welcome to the circular firing squad.
Not yet.
Okay, she can hang.
Number 9, discussion and possible action on Christmas lights. This is what Commissioner Mosley wanted to be here for, correct?
Him and also Patricia.
And also Patricia. Okay.
I was invited.
Well,
Okay.
since you headed it up, you made it happen last year.
What little we did.
Right.
But actually, the
Why don't you just give us a, why
Well,
don't
the
you tell us
survey
what you
back
did?
in October of 2020, there was a planning meeting that the Convention and Visitors Bureau hosted to find out where the organizations were that have always done events throughout the year, the major events. And Christmas lights came up on that one, and everybody just looked at each other. Literally, just looked at each other. So, between Jana Lindig, myself, and we invited the chamber, and BBA. BBA clearly said they did not have enough members to help. That's when the chamber was basically dark, or was dark.
Dark.
I sent a proposal on for the October 22nd to the mayor addressing city council, and proposed that all we were requesting as an ad hoc committee was that we could use the lights, no manpower except to get the electrical boxes installed, and so forth and so on. And the Bandera Wranglers stepped up too. I sent an email to Laura. It ended up there were about 7 or 8 people total that did that. Jan Lindig, Linda James, Troy and Karen Kuvicka, and a few more from Bandera Prodeo, myself. And
Perfect
there he
timing.
is.
Perfect timing.
Okay.
I made a mistake of stopping at Mansfield Park.
Okay. but let me just go back to 2 years earlier. There seems to be an aversion to anyone ever wanting to volunteer help. This gentleman did it the correct way. But when EDC and City Council decided they were no longer going to consider Christmas lights as a funding, I think it was like not a battle, but it was a discussion. Who owns what? Who's this? What's that? Nope, can't use this. Nope, can't use that.
It was a problem at the beginning.
It was a problem. And so technically, historically, I've got the gray hairs to prove it. I knew what went on the courthouse lawn had been purchased by local citizens having fundraisers. That white metal thing and all of it, some of it. So, Commissioner Mosley decided, with the help of the Commissioner's Court, giving a $700 donation. 800.
It's on the budget as a grant.
Correct. Whatever. But he arranged for his help in different things. For several reasons, of course, trying to get 7 people in. The 2, Georgia and Robin, were the other people that were diligently helping us. And I will want to commend Heather and Steve Jones. Was it Jones?
Yes.
Yes.
But Zoka Joes, without their volunteer assistance on both parts of, they helped the courthouse area and they helped this. Christmas lights need to be brought up. They need to be discussed. And I don't know what the appropriate action is, but it needs to be a community pride issue. We did it wrong, in my humble opinion, for many years. It looked beautiful, but it takes hours and manpower. I can tell you the Christmas lights now that are in that storeroom, Evertub, I could go in there and tell you which ones are good or bad, or which ones have good or bad ones. That's a time-consuming project. And there was a change in design. The businesses used to have their own cutouts. There was a change in design where we went away from that. Everybody approved that. But how to move forward, I don't know. I don't know whether who can take, I'm very vocal, as we all know, take a lead and say, hey folks, let's get moving on this, and who wants to take a 10 by 10 square or whatever. Did I sum it up right?
I think so.
Commissioner Mosley, thank you.
Can I give you
for
a little
being
history
here.
for our new members?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to get some history on.
Well, you can probably give it better than I can. The Christmas lights used to be owned. The EDC purchased a lot of the Christmas
Yes.
lights, and the tables and chairs that were used by many of the organizations, primarily the BBA, we ended up doing a swap. They gave us back the Christmas lights. We gave them the tables and tents and chairs. So the EDC owns the lights, and they have to do a contract with us in order to use the lights.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Jack, you want to talk about what you've done
I
at the
guess
courthouse?
This is the 4th summer, so 3 summers ago, I was asked to come to a meeting because they knew EDC was not going to fund Christmas lights anymore. And they asked me what I could do, and I said, you mean you're not going to go to the courthouse? Because they've always been on the courthouse. They weren't always on the river, but they were always on the courthouse. And they weren't going to do it. And I said, well, if y'all will let me use what was there last year,
Well, the price was so prohibitive, is
Yeah,
why
yeah,
they,
it's ridiculous.
it had
how
gone
much they
over
were charging
30,000.
To install the lights. I said, let me see if I can get volunteers to do it. So I got the county to give me $800 grant to replace extension cords and lights and whatever. The chamber put in $800. The chamber, the county, the way county government and city government works, we can't take, the EDC can take money, but the county can't. We can't do that. So I got the chamber to be the bank, and the money went there, and it's 2 years in a row now that I've done it. And there is a fund balance somewhere in the chamber for something for Christmas, courthouse light Christmas. I don't know about the river, but I know the courthouse. There should be a fund balance of some sort. And the BBA, the first year, said that they would put in $200 or $300 at the end if needed. And I honestly don't remember. I don't think we needed it. To be honest with you, we may have, but I don't think so. Anyway, I got a group of volunteers. I advertised. My wife advertised for me on Facebook because I don't do that crap. I got it in the newspaper. I had, but part of the county, I went and I said, we got a bunch of juvenile probation kids that are doing nothing, so I got them. And they were the muscle to load and unload and do everything. And 4-H, I got involved in it. Several churches. The Knights of Columbus, there were 2 gentlemen that showed up both years. They're both ex-electricians. They took charge of doing the extension cords and making sure the extension cords went appropriately, the big ones for the long runs and little ones for here and that. And then last year, the best part of it to me, after doing it 2 years, is last year I had the probation kids working, and I had the National Honor Society kids working together, volunteering. And to me, that was worth the whole thing. And I don't know if anybody else ever read any of the stuff that I put in there with the pictures and stuff. It should be a community effort. The chamber needs to pick it up. BBA, somebody needs to pick it up, not me, who has nothing to. I'd never seen the courthouse lit up because I don't come to town at night. I go home. I went home to feed tonight and came back and I stopped at Mansfield. I see it in the morning sometimes when I go to OST for breakfast. Other than that, I don't ever see it. That is not my deal. Lights isn't my deal, but the courthouse needs it. The community needs it.
The community went ballistic.
Yeah.
Well, we do know that there is passion out there to do something. The courthouse never looked better when Arigano, I can't say his name correctly, one person petitioned, basically, Commissioner's Court to be allowed to do what he did.
He put all the lights on the courthouse.
By himself.
All I have done
We have
for 2
one.
years is the yard,
Right.
the lawn. He did the courthouse himself. He said, you ought to come see my house in Flying L. He wants to do it again. He wants to make it bigger and bigger. He had one volunteer helping towards the end. And he wants to make it bigger and bigger. And it's already been to Commissioner's Court. We're going to let him do it. But the problem with that was permission to do it. But he has to get on the inside also. And he works at night. He's a DPS. His days off, that's when he did it. And so it required, a little special deal, but y'all know how government doesn't work. It takes a lot of stuff to go through the Commissioner's Court just to get the approval to do it. Like, it just happened last court. I wasn't there, I got it on the agenda, but I was in North Carolina watching my grandson play in the Division II College World Series. That was fun.
And he had
Came in third.
third in the United States.
Wow.
We lost the semifinal game 8-7 in 11 innings.
Wow.
They're that close to the championship game. Anyway, it was on the agenda because at the first of the year, Jeannie Strickland, comes in and gets everybody's stuff lined up for the year, for the BBA and for everybody at the courthouse and all this other stuff. And she had the front for the first market day of the month. Well, the BBA asked me if I could move the market day up to the courthouse lawn so they would have the asphalt to have Kelly Scott and the Longhorns and all the other stuff that goes on down there, just to make it look like something else is going on 4th of July weekend. So, Commissioners Court approved it, and I can tell you all this, and I told her the other day, Judge Evans was the only one that voted against it, because he doesn't want to kill all the grass on the damn lawn. Okay? So just keep that in mind.
I know that.
I mean, it's open record, right? Y'all are part of it. You know how it works, it's open record.
So, Mr. Commissioner, what is it that you're asking from us for
Well,
the lights?
I was asked to come here to know. I'm not asking, I think whatever can be done and make it a community effort and not one guy making phone calls, make the chamber, the BBA, somebody, and let everybody involved, and it'll get bigger and better. It'll get bigger and better.
And I guess what I would add to that, he took out ads in the newspaper,
Yeah.
1. 2, the volunteers came. The gentleman that came and talked to city council about moving the farmer's market, okay, to the city park, plaza. It's a whole lot better there too,
Yes,
by
it
the way.
is. I didn't know it was there.
And it's active. But he lives down in Lake Hills, I believe.
And he
came
was a
up here
railroad.
all the whole time and helped him both times.
He volunteered to make phone calls and get people from Lake Hills area.
Right. That's
He had
the
nothing
kind
to
we
do
need.
with, and since then, he started coming to Commissioner's Court just to know what the hell's going on,
Good.
you know?
So technically, I don't know where to get the attack going, if you will, but to get people up and off their duffs. It is a true statement, and I kind of laughed because we were charged with inventorying everything that came out of that codex. Have you ever tried to inventory a tub that doesn't make sense?
I can tell you, this year, with some of the money we had left over, we bought new totes.
Yeah.
And it says courthouse on them, and they're separate when we put them back into Connex. And I was asked the first year, because evidently nobody knew it until all it was over with, the county actually owns all those metal animals. So they are out at Mansfield Park. The manger scene, I took out to Mansfield Park because it's a lot easier than putting it in the Connex. I don't even know who owns it, BBA or EDC. somebody.
EDC owns the Connex.
Okay, no, the manger.
The manger set.
Oh,
The manger
Manger's
is-
courthouse.
Manger, the
Well-
steel manger made by
No, it
Buddy
wouldn't,
Hardy.
it wouldn't manger. It wouldn't
Oh,
manger.
that came with the whole set, so that's.
Yeah, I'm not sure, anyway, it's out at Mansfield Park, but the probation group has been working there 2 years, and they, I don't know if y'all been to Mansfield Park, they just redid the front of Mansfield Park for me.
Yeah, it looks great.
And they have a new wood shop they're trying to teach kids, so they are building a new manger for this year.
Perfect.
Oh my
There's a new manger that they volunteered to do.
Patricia, that's your answer.
Well, here's my
What's that?
real suggestion is, now that the chamber has, no seriously, has access to email and to chamber members, do an honest to God survey. Do you want Christmas lights? Are you willing to put slave labor in?
And
Are
I
you
can-
willing to go back to the old way? We need a committee of 15 dedicated people. That's all it would take. And they can go out and get their other volunteers. I will tell you, to be able to put them up, it's impossible to do it without the juvenile probations. Those trees go up very, very easily.
Yeah.
But they know how to do it in a heartbeat.
You know, I figured out a program. You put one person in charge of putting, one adult in charge of putting
Mistakes, huh?
the trees, the pipe, T-posts in the ground, and one person in charge of putting the little nails around it to string the lights, and then 3 or 4 kids stringing lights, and other kids coming back running, the guys run extension cords. The first year we had 20 some odd volunteers. The second year we had 30 some odd volunteers, and we started at 9 o'clock the first year and 10 o'clock this past year just because of weather.
Oh, yeah, it
And
was nasty.
we were done by 3 o'clock both times. And when they were doing it before, it took them all week to do it, but it only Jeannie and Victor and a helper when they could get one doing it.
And I'm not, and I will make this in defense. We as a community allowed that to happen because we quit being involved. I personally sat after hours or took an hour or two, and I went down there and went through tub after tub of lights. And so did Linda James. She took a day off to do it. But if you have people, you can gossip while you do it. We have the old quilt circle.
That is,
I mean,
that's most of the time thing is getting everything out of the context
right.
to wherever you can work on it. And that takes, well, it took me, and every now and then I feel somebody at Mansfield Park, and it took us 5 days just to go through all the lights and plug them in, make sure they work. Plug them in, make sure
Exactly.
they work.
Right.
In today's world, you don't go change light bulbs, you throw the whole thing away, go buy new ones.
So I mean,
Yeah.
that can be done in August.
It has to be.
But
It goes,
but it has to go back to a situation of where I will make this statement kind of carte blanche. There's some very good things out there, and there's a lot of crap in that inventory too.
yes.
There's no other way of saying it.
And I don't know how much was involved at the river. I went down there this year because Patricia and Jana took up that one corner. I went down there a couple times that day, in between the two, helping and delivering some stuff I didn't need. Here, y'all use this, we're done, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't know what y'all are thinking, that courthouse or river or whatever.
So who does the river?
The river has always been the city.
Okay.
When there was the official, the only way I can say it is breakup,
Mm-hmm.
and Jack volunteered to start doing the courthouse. The breakup was down here, and I've heard comments, and they're very legitimate. Well, it's not the city's job. Yes and no, it is.
City
In
job,
a- in a-
employees, I guess.
Kerrville is doing a multi-million-dollar project, public-private, to
Yeah.
light one of their. So there has to be a little city involvement, but not a lot.
So, I will bring it to the chamber and see, and like you said, we could definitely send out an email and see what, you know. Our problem with the chamber is we ask for volunteer help from our members all the time. We get nothing. Nobody ever shows up to help us with parades. Nobody shows up to help us do.
I know that.
Buck Festival
trust
helps
me,
us
I
do
know that.
anything.
I've
I'm
lived
aware of
that.
it.
Yeah.
We're both aware of that.
And so, I mean, for the chamber, it's like nobody ever wants to help the chamber.
I wouldn't even put it out as the chamber. This is, do
So
you
I would do it
want
I would,
Christmas?
as CDC, we could do something like make a recommendation to city council of putting flyers in all the utility bills from now until October, asking for volunteers. We do have our own Parks and Recs budget line, where maybe we start doing something like that, where we'd have to work it out to where,
We can't,
just,
yeah, we've got to be real careful
yes.
on,
But
Having
something, we own them,
right.
Okay.
we can, and I think
And
we can
whomever
work
needs to
with-
come to ask
I
us.
think we can work with Commissioner Mosley on this.
Right.
I love the idea of, individuals that have community service time that need to be done, doing things like this to help build that spirit of
I don't
decor.
think that would get done without me or Jeff, the judge or Jana Lindig.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
To go to
Right.
The city.
the guys in charge
Right.
for community service.
Community
I mean,
service.
Or not community service, a different thing. Community service, probation, kids. Now that's a whole different world.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to take pictures of them. You can't use their names in the paper. In fact, I was talking to Matt Haney, who's in charge of them, about what they did. They took pictures of the kids working and of it before and after and all that, and they are putting together a little something that I can put in the bulletin, but they have to put it together. I can't put it together. It has to be. Now, as community service guys, that's pretty much volunteer. If you want to get community service guys to do it, fine. You just got to keep track of the hours.
So,
And there's no regulation with them, except the probation kids are not allowed to work with them or with the prisoners.
They've gotta
We
be
use the prisoners
separate.
a
Right.
lot, someplace to do other things. They're not allowed to be separate. They
But
gotta be separate.
I think people that need community service hours, that's a perfect way to help start building a spirit decor and community with them. And it gets the lights up and it gets them hours that they need for, their give back to the community, so.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. You know, it's not look for volunteers. If you want it, we're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, you
Simple
gotta
as that.
ask for volunteers.
Right.
And the
But-
churches do it, like I said, the 4-H. I did not have FFA, but it doesn't mean they can't be involved, and that's, like I said, the National Honor Society showed up this year. I had no idea, but that's who they were. I got a text from whoever's in charge of it, I can't remember her name now, the teacher's in charge of them.
I mean, I guarantee there's somebody in this area,
Well,
there's always been somebody everywhere I live that putting up lights is the most important time of year for them.
Right.
And that is the absolute biggest joy. If we can turn the design aspect down at the river into some kind of competition, build, it's all about community.
Right.
I like the fact that in previous years, it's been donation and a different organization has been in, like last year was Boys and Girls Club.
2
Or
years
2
ago.
years
2
ago
years
was
ago.
Boys and Girls Club.
Well, yeah, thank
They
goodness
were responsible for assembling it all, and then it was donations for drive-through, and that money went back to the Boys and Girls Club.
That's a good idea. From what
That-
I understand, they did not throw in a lot of labor.
That
That
went,
could be addressed.
so that went
That could be
into
addressed.
what Laura said earlier, where it wound up costing $30,000 in order to get them installed. Takes almost 30 days to get it all done. All kinds of, I think that's absolutely just ridiculous and not spend, that money wasn't
Right.
spent on new lights and new
No,
equipment and
it was
things like
paid
that.
to
That
the
was,
vendor.
that was labor.
And what-
Right.
what I
Contractor.
understood-
Contractor.
It was paid to the contractor.
What I understood, it was costing $10,000 to $12,000 through the courthouse
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah,
And it's something we did in 6 hours
exactly.
So I
with
think,
volunteers.
I think there's, if that kind of money's gonna be spent on it, I think there's better ways to spend that money
I agree.
and be able to have an ad campaign down to San Antonio and Austin saying, hey, come check out the Christmas lights in
Yeah.
the hill country.
I like yours that too.
If we accompany it, and this would not be EDC, but this would be if somebody else.
But that's the point. Who's the somebody? We have to find somebody that is willing to spearhead it
So
and run it. And
do we start with putting together a workshop
I would
and
say-
asking a representative from all the different civic organizations within the county to send somebody? Do we ask all the different businesses that want to participate to send somebody to be a part of this workshop and see who wants to spearhead it, what the best way to go about, what the last 100 years of collective knowledge is of getting it all together and finding that right person to spearhead this?
I mean, the churches too.
Absolutely.
Churches?
That's who ended up being the biggest supporter in the beginning of National Night Out and Nightmare in Maple. You know, it's for the kids, it's for a meeting.
The Masonic Lodge, they had some guys down there at the courthouse too.
Right. So I mean, it's an ad hoc, if you want Christmas, we're gonna have to get together and do it ourselves, rather than sit there and moan.
And before I say it one more time, before I took it over, in the 2 years of doing it, I did have ads in the paper for thank yous and this and that, and came and mentioned this needs to be a community effort and not one person that lives closer to Medina than he does here to do it. I was confronted with, we weren't gonna do anything, so see what you can do, so did it volunteers, and it cost the county $800 and the chamber $800, and it was a done deal.
And I believe the EDC put, I think we spent $3,000 for additional lights the last couple of years.
Or at the river.
That would be at the river.
What?
of course,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, nothing was
What-
spent last
okay.
year now.
I thought we did some for both, but I may be mistaken.
Okay. So do we have any motions to do anything?
I'm thinking how to word this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we even?
I mean,
Start with the,
um,
I don't think we're there yet.
well, I guess, can I make a motion that we put together a workshop inviting a representative from, business, churches, Legion Hall, Masonic, County, everybody, and
Community.
see what we get to start with.
Second that.
I did have people from the county volunteer. One of them took a day off, cause I did it on Saturdays, but one of them took a day off to just come up to help finish up little things. Back when the appraisal district was going through all kinds of hell, had several girls from there, maybe they just went out of the office, came down and helped. I don't know.
But I mean, that's what it's gonna take. I think somebody out of that could do it. The BBA made a very concerted effort last year to return to their rightful owners all of the wooden cutouts that had been used in the years past. I have a haul of those that were not claimed sitting beside the office. So maybe not this year's the right year to make new cutouts based on the price of lumber, but we've got Warrior's Heart now too. I don't know how involved they would get with the project or not.
So,
So back
right
to
now, we
Maybe
have
they
a
could-
motion on the table.
Help get them painted, you said
Right
something.
now, we have a motion on
I've
the
already
table
seconded it.
Well, but I don't think it
for
was
doing a workshop of gathering whoever is interested within the community, business owners, community leaders, civic organizations, churches,
to discuss
to
Christmas lights.
discuss Christmas lights. We have a second for discussion. I think what I would like to see to make this a big push is spending some money on not just putting the agenda in the paper, but having some kind of advertisement in the paper of, hey, let's get everybody to come to this and put in your cents, and we do a push where we all contact. You already know the BBA and the chamber.
Yeah.
I know the Wranglers. I know people out at Warriors Heart. Contact your churches.
And I get
Spread all
4-H.
that.
I
Plus,
get 4-H again, that's pretty easy.
I'd like to see advertisement as far as doing that, so that we try and get a lot of community involvement. Other discussion.
I think a newspaper article explaining it would be very good too.
Absolutely.
If
With
the
the paper-
newspaper man's listening. What?
Would you be agreeable to that?
Sure, I'm probably not the best person. I'll get Jessica involved. I'm gonna send her the recording and all my notes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there any more
Well,
We
discussion?
will, I'll volunteer our office to
Okay.
get the posters distributed and come up with a sad Santa or something. that we could
Okay.
do.
And
So as far as the motion on the table, do we have any more discussion?
Yes. So then we need to have this in a bigger place, like at Mansfield.
Yes.
I would
Okay.
recommend
Okay.
doing it
We hope-
at a minimum
we hope
of
they
the
do.
hotel, but possibly out at Mansfield.
What
Okay.
did you say?
I hope
He's-
you need a bigger place.
Not right here. Okay.
And I would also suggest to put out enough time to get the buzz wrapped around this, that
Mhm.
we don't schedule it in the next 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
No.
I'm
That
saying.
it's scheduled for
August.
probably the beginning of August.
Yeah,
to get
before
this-
anything starts happening for Labor Day, we need to hit
Well,
that.
before school starts too.
Yes, that's we need to hit it before that.
Somebody needs to be working on it in late September, October.
Yes.
Right. So that's why if we
Because it's-
aim for
it-
end of
The
July.
way it's been since I've done it, that's what I was told, the Friday after Thanksgiving, and then
Mhm.
I did the courthouse the first Saturday after the New Year. They said after New Year's, and I did the first Saturday, because that's my volunteer.
Right.
Okay. So would you like to enter a motion for any of that stuff? Of when and
Yeah, why don't you know?
Okay, so
And I will volunteer to assist.
or I
What
can
little
take
bit I know
or
about
I
it.
can take a vote that we can shoot it down and you can just say the
no. Okay, so amending the motion that was to have a workshop inviting community, civic leaders, and so on at Mansfield Park before the end of July, but advertising it and doing flyers and whatnot to get
I
the.
think y'all might want input from Zucker Joe and maybe Jeannie and Victor.
Now,
They have done it a lot more than anybody else has. Although
Is that
Jeannie
as far
and
as the
Victor
end of
taught
July,
me what I know.
we are going to have a workshop in July already for budget.
Right.
Yeah, but
And
we've
we've
got
got
to
our,
do.
we've got our regular meeting at the end of
Today
July.
was our first day of budget at court.
Okay, so
Anybody got a calendar? And we know
Because-
the last,
because we need the time to advertise, so that's
Yes.
why I was trying to say.
I will not be available the last week.
right, she's not
I would
available
say
the last week of
first
July.
week.
So-
Okay, so first week of August.
Okay,
And then any advertising or funding for advertising?
do it.
Oh.
And we're not mentioning a dollar amount yet.
Well, advertising, that could be an administrative ad,
Right,
so I think you still have,
we don't have to, that's not something we need to set a limit on.
Okay, so I think the motion on the table right now that Christine made is to host a workshop with prominent community and anyone who wants to come for the first week of August, and that we would like to advertise to the maximum, to generate as much buzz around that as possible.
There we go. That's what I said.
Yeah,
And I seconded
You
it.
give,
Or
give
yours.
me on the
Okay.
rec center.
And Laura seconded.
yes.
Any more discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed.
Oh, that was
First start.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Invite
Okay.
Chevy Chase.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
just one more thing, whomever takes it up, they need to, we do a contract with
Absolutely.
that organization, no,
I know. We're not
But-
going to talk about that right now.
well, no, I just want everybody to know that that's what
Yep.
the end result will
You
be,
gotta follow the steps.
to lease, you know.
Okay, agenda item number 10. Discussion and possible action for amending sales tax form.
Was from the audit. Remember?
Sales tax
I don't
form.
remember amending the sales tax form on the audit.
We just need a record of it. I make a motion to
Oh,
nominate
was
Jarrett.
this just the not audit,
Yes.
not amending the form itself?
No,
It was
the form
putting it
is,
in.
that's a Texas State
Yeah,
Controller
yes.
form. But remember, they put the wrong amount in?
There is recommendations.
When he met with you and I,
Mhm.
he showed us that.
That he put the wrong amount in.
Well, whoever filed it did.
That was years ago, and that was something that they had already given you the knowledge on how to correct in QuickBooks, that $40,000.
Mm-mm.
Is that what that was?
No, it's the Texas State Controller form.
Okay.
It was like 7,000 something, and it was the wrong amount.
It's like 70,000.
Okay, 70.
Around there.
Okay.
I don't even know what
Do
we're
we
talking
have
Yeah.
something,
Do we know?
do we have any paperwork on this? Do we have, because I'm not
Hey.
recalling that.
Okay, he showed it to us, and I thought he gave it to you, Jerry.
He being the auditor, is that what you're talking
Yes.
about?
Okay, the 73,421. Okay. Now I know where you're going with that.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, so
Hold on.
when they filed, last year with
Being
the
the
Texas
EDC.
EDC, when they filed with the Texas Comptroller, they filed a total fiscal year expenditures as $212,233. When they did the audit, it was actually more than that by $73,421.14. So we've got to go back and correct that within the Texas Comptroller's website, and that's just filing an amendment with the Comptroller.
Right.
Okay.
And then I've got the paperwork here. If everyone wants to pass that around, that came from the auditors themselves.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that Jarrett filed the amended form with the state controller.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We've got a second. Any discussion?
Just so, where did that 70,000 come from, or where it was just wasn't?
It wasn't it
They
wasn't.
just didn't document it, so we knew it was coming in, but just because we didn't document, that's the only. Gotcha.
A lot of entries were not made in QuickBooks because we didn't have an admin.
Didn't have an admin. We were dark for
Right.
Yeah.
however
Right.
many months.
Right.
Did you, Karina?
Oh, no, I was gonna say, and if I could say something, it's not that a lot of entries weren't made, but they were dated incorrectly. And I kind of figured that when I first started making those inputs, there was a lot of entries that were months ahead or months behind. It was really odd.
Huh.
So I kind of had to go back and realign all of that.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Who was the previous assistant?
They didn't. Let's get into that. Let's just not get into
There goes
that.
the circular firing squad.
That's going to require drinks and another time.
So when we're at the Best Western Bar, how about that? Okay.
Break out the tequila.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay. Agenda item 11. Discussion and possible action on personnel files, equipment forms, and file checking forms. So we've got the filing cabinet here. I've got this binder. We've got another one that that Karina's got.
There's one here.
What we want to do is make a binder and issue them out to all board members. Each one of them would be numbered, and so when you come on, when you get appointed to EDC, you're issued. Here's your binder that's got all the bylaws, got everything else in it. If you're issued keys, here's the keys for the filing cabinet. Whatever you're issued, and have that on an equipment issue form. That when you're appointed, once you pick all that stuff up, you sign and date, initial everything that you've taken, that you've received, and then when your appointment is at its ends, we can get all that stuff back. So this one was just made for me as a gift. The one Karina's got,
Nice little bow on it.
yeah, the one Karina's got, at one point the EDC actually had a bunch of these made.
There was one for
And
every
they're
board.
down to 2 of them. And no past board members know where they are. Of course, I don't have it. I turned it back in. All kinds of stuff. So, going back to my military days,
Yeah. Okay.
equipment forms,
Keys to the file cabinet.
keys to the file cabinet, anything that you're issued would be on it, and then when you get it back, when you're done, we use that form to get it back. The other part of this is personnel files. So what I want to do is create a file that goes into the cabinet for all board members. That's got your original application, your original appointment date, and then your training that you've done. So, like the certificates you brought in earlier, and it would literally just have that stuff so that it's in one location. If Karina's got to file something, or if anybody's got to do anything, they don't have to call you up and go, hey, do you happen to have a photocopy of that on your phone, picture, whatever else. It's all just in one spot already. Nice little personnel file. Yeah, and then file checking forms. So instead of a logbook and Did you send those out to all the board members today? The checkout forms that you had sent us for
No,
review?
because I needed to make a correction on it
Okay.
and I didn't get to that. But I can
Okay,
do that today.
so instead of doing a ledger, a logbook, just a single piece of paper, sign out form, so that if you sign anything out of the filing cabinet, you sign it out, you sign what file it is, the date, and then you sign it back in when you bring it in.
It'll be kept here though.
And it would be kept here. We can put it in a plastic document protector taped to the side of the filing cabinet whenever you take anything out, and that way it's just, if Karina's got to do a bunch of stuff with files, she can do it. If anybody else coming in looking for research, you're looking for that same file, you know where it's gone when you can't find it. And I think that's just a good way to keep accountability of all of our stuff. So
Right.
that's a little rundown on that one. Yes, Laura.
What do y'all think about, do we need to do a background check?
Yes, so we had talked about that. So that was another part of this was background checks on board members. It was brought up.
Is that in the
Y'all-
bylaws?
That is not in the bylaws. That
But
is something that,
We're dealing with a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of other professional boards that I
Would
have
that,
served on.
would
That's
that need to
part of
be,
it.
would the bylaws then need to be amended?
Oh
to
yeah,
say
the bylaws need
that-
major
that-
amending as it is.
that background checks are required to be an applicant, or that to be, if, once you sign the application, you're agreeing to a background check?
I don't know what that is. I don't necessarily think we need a background check on every board member in the EDC.
You can't do
I
one
don't
without
think-
doing them all.
Well, I don't think that, I would say for, like, if we had an appointed treasurer, that makes sense, because the argument on it is because there's all this money. I don't,
But if we're all gonna be signers on the account.
Right.
Oh, right. And we're
But
getting access and
when it-
reports every month.
and when it comes to the, and I'm just arguing the other side here.
Absolutely.
No, I'm
It's
just
all-
bringing it up for
Absolutely
discussion.
up to y'all for vote, but, we're all signers on the checks, but there has to be two different signatures and a city employee's signatures. It's not like
Someone can
one
just take the
person
check.
can just
Okay,
go
we can
take the
start.
check and,
No.
Gotcha.
and none of us have individual access to the checkbook anyways.
Okay, so another
So-
question then is, if we want to make an amendment to the bylaws, does city council have to approve
City
us?
council
Yes.
does
So
have
they
to
have, they will
approve
have
that.
the final,
They would have the
Yes.
final say on
Okay.
it. I think the squeeze, I think the juice versus the squeeze, the amount of money that we would spend to do background checks versus having things like our non-disclosure agreements in place, having the personnel files. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze as far as cost.
Okay.
But I would like to hear discussion from everybody else on this too.
The cost is about $30.
What does city council require?
They don't.
they don't. That's why I'm asking.
So why would
because
EDC?
I just brought it up because a couple of boards I'm on are doing
They
that.
control a lot more money than we do.
No, actually they don't.
No,
Yeah,
some
he's
of the
talking city council.
city.
Oh,
City council,
yeah.
Not chamber of commerce.
No, I'm not on the chamber. It's some other professional boards. But I just
I-
brought it up for discussion.
Yeah. No,
Because
I
that's
definitely-
something that that some of them are doing.
The money isn't just the $30 for the thing. He's talking about the
Subscription
the
services to it.
and the time to write the amendment, get it approved, her time that we
Right.
pay her to do all that paperwork
Oh, girl.
cited, yada 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 yada.
Half of the
yada.
things in that are outdated.
I know. I'm just
Oh, yeah.
saying it's
Yeah.
just another one of those things. So it's
Okay.
not, it's a bigger picture cost. And having the attorney possibly review it to make sure that we have that right. Now we're
Okay.
paying him.
That's what I was gonna say.
So there's more to it than just, hey, we can amend this and it's $30 a pop. So, because that's a constant question in city council is the financial, the big picture to get that one piece of paper in there changed. So, my opinion is, I don't think I would, if they have not found a need yet in all the years to do that, why start now? I know there's problems, but every board, every organization has problems at some point or another, so this isn't gonna solve it down the road anyway, if something was to happen.
It's the woke era.
It's the what?
You woke. Never mind.
Anyway, that was my.
Okay. Any discussion for?
Well, it might, we've been kind of flim-flammed on, not necessarily on the EDC, but some of the previous city council members, talked a good talk, but, when we really got to know them, there was things that I felt were questionable. That's the only reason I
Yeah,
brought this up.
I
I
understand.
can think of one person in particular, and I think 10 minutes delving into Facebook should have shown that to anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
right.
But I would also argue that that could be the case with almost any politician
That's
in
around,
any
yeah.
level of government. So,
I mean,
You know,
you
and,
go-
and
Yeah.
all I, you know, I see both sides. I just threw it out there because,
so we can all discuss it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So I think that's enough discussion on that part. On
So
personnel files, equipment forms, file checking forms. Do we have any?
I'll make a motion
Yes.
that we go ahead and establish the form necessary for checking off, you know, check form for board members.
Okay.
Is that it?
For agenda item 11.
Yes, for agenda item 11.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed?
Do we need one also for the equipment form?
The equipment form's on there.
Personnel
Oh,
equipment.
I
file
just
checking
just heard you
forms
say
and
say
file
file
checking
check.
forms.
Well, for everything that's
Okay.
in the filing cabinet, basically,
Okay.
because it's all
Okay.
in there together.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it was like, it would be
Okay.
one form for all those things.
No.
They're
Well, for the
They're three
equipment
different
and
forms. There are 3 different forms.
the, okay,
Karina's already got the rough draft done and said she needs to
Make
fix
some
one thing.
corrections, Yeah.
So yes.
do you want me to amend that?
No.
Okay.
Alright. Agenda item 12, discussion and possible action on required training. So we all have required training that needs to be done,
Yes, we do.
and we need to have a deadline to which that needs to be. I would like to see a deadline for which all current board members have that done and turned in.
Just
If
to be
it's
clear,
not-
just to be clear, we're talking about the Open Meetings Act training and the Public Information Act training?
Correct.
Okay, just to be sure. I have
Um,
those.
So, and if, yes, so that's what I would like to see is just a deadline passed that everybody have it done. Motion?
I make a motion that all board members have their 2 trainings done by the next board meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
You've already got yours done.
That's why
Any
I'm
discussion?
excited about it. I'm ahead.
All in favor?
90.
All in favor, none opposed. Okay, item 13, discussion and possible action. A, advertising for applications and promotional funding for FY 2022. So, because of COVID and because of the shutdown of the EDC for a number of months, we are still dealing with 2021's promotional funding. In the bylaws, it currently says, and when you look at the applications for promotional funding, that the applications are supposed to be in by the end of October, to be reviewed in November and decided on for funding by December. That's what's on the current applications for it. It was brought up in previous meetings that in the past we've reached out to those who ask for promotional funding every year to remind them about it. I brought up my own personal belief is if you want the money, you're going to go seek it out. But I also don't believe in making abrupt, like in things being abrupt right off the bat, because then you
Right.
tick everybody off and people don't have stuff. So that's where this came up is, do we want to keep it at being in by the end of October? My thoughts were all applications need to be in by the end of September, and that way we can discuss them in the October meeting, have the minutes of that and any action items already ratified via the consent agenda to be able to issue out checks by the end of November, rolling into the holidays instead of waiting for the middle of December to be rolling that type of stuff out. Yes, Laura.
Do we need a motion first?
Yeah, so it's open for motion. That was the background on what
Right.
that's doing on the agenda. Yes, Laura.
I make a motion to keep the applications in, or to have them in by the end of September, sorry.
Okay. Do we have
With presentations in November.
with presentations in November?
We have to wait till November because it'll be in October before we know how much.
So,
Because they're always a month
do we have,
behind.
do we have a second?
I'll second, just so we can have
Okay.
discussion.
Sorry.
Discussion.
Okay, so what this actually says is advertising for application promotional funding. I mean, so that was actually the action
I'm
item
sorry, I
here.
went into B.
Yeah, so
Didn't I?
A was actually the act, so, that's why I just wanted to go to discussion, so we could point out, I think we're on the wrong.
That is my fault.
So we're going with B before A.
Yes.
Okay, so setting a deadline, okay. End of September, so they have to bring a presentation in October. Or they're bringing their presentation with their application before the end of September.
We aren't gonna know how much money we're gonna have until the end of October.
No, I understand that, but they're just doing a presentation.
They can do, I don't care when they do the presentation.
Well, that's what you did
Right.
say though, you did
Yeah.
name that in your motion, is that,
Right.
so.
Well, that's why I did it.
but
I
someone
put
could
November
do-
because we'll know how much money and then it's easier when to keep that in mind when you're going through everybody at once.
I like to lean into it.
Because if someone
and
comes
go
in
have
July
them-
with their application, they're gonna probably come and do their presentation when they, at that time. So either we're asking them to come back
We're
or saying,
asking
hang
everybody
on,
to
don't.
do it all at once.
So turn in your app, but don't do your presentation.
No.
Well, yeah, why would, I mean, if somebody wants to do their application, why wouldn't they just turn it in? So we're telling them, don't turn it in until the end of September? We're just saying that's a deadline. People are gonna turn them in
It's a
whenever they
deadline.
want. So
No,
when
they're
we-
not. No, believe me.
Most people are going to wait until the last minute to turn it in.
Mm-hmm.
But theoretically, we could have, when we put this out, we could have people bringing in
They could.
applications from next month
That's right, cause I mean,
all the way until September 30th. Do we want to wait until November to get presentations from them or have them do presentations right away? We may not know what we're going to have in the budget, but we've got a pretty good idea, and most of these are revolving things, and we know what we've given out in previous years to each of them. I don't see why we would need to wait on presentations, because if we wait until November to do presentations, then we're still going right back into that not being able to do anything until the middle of December, beginning of January, God forbid something happened in December to having a meeting.
Sure.
okay, so.
Well, we could do
But if we're cutting off,
October.
that's what I was gonna say, I mean, why wouldn't we have them do, we only have
Okay.
one meeting a month, so if they're turning them in by the end of September, so why wouldn't they all then need to be on the agenda for presentations for the October meeting,
And then voted in November.
and then we, cause then
That's
we
fine.
can't vote.
I amend my motion.
Well,
I mean,
if we're leaning into the budget, we don't know what we have until the end of October. We are the last Thursday in October is when our meetings are. Ideally, and I know this hasn't happened in the past, I hear chuckles. Ideally, leaning into it, we know what our budget is by the end of this October. Which means we can have presentations, vote for action. The next meeting in November, those meeting minutes are ratified. We can start issuing checks the very next day, getting all that done and over with so that we can all enjoy our holidays going into December.
okay, so could you restate the motion on the table?
Okay. So as of right now, the motion on the table that has been seconded is a deadline of applications for September 30th with presentations in November was the current motion. Any more discussion on that?
I said it'd be fine to amend it to October
Okay.
for
So-
presentations and voting on in November.
Presentations and voting on in November or October?
Presentations October.
Presentations are in October. We usually wait a month and come back and vote on them then on the next meeting.
Okay, so that is the motion on the table. Any more discussion on it? All in favor?
Still not,
That,
okay.
that is,
Yeah, because.
I know what you're,
Yeah, that is not exactly.
so that has gone back to against what,
Because we said if they
were
if
trying
they
to
go
do.
ahead and make their presentation, then let's go ahead and vote in October if we can.
otherwise we're still issuing checks in December.
December.
If we wait to vote in November, we're still issuing checks in December. Is that what, making sure everybody understands that that's the
I
vote that?
see.
They can still be issued in
It's
the end of November. It doesn't,
The meeting minutes have to be ratified.
right.
They don't get ratified until the next. So if they're not voted on until November, then it's not until the December meeting
That the
that consent agenda has been approved to
Which
issue
means it's
out
actually
checks.
January.
Well, it could be the day
Well-
after that meeting in
Well,
December.
yeah,
Right,
so,
right.
but that's gonna be the end of the month, which, hey, that's Christmas.
Yeah.
So,
And usually we move our December meeting to earlier. It's been typical of what people have done, but it's whatever y'all want to do.
Okay. So everybody understands that that was the vote on the table.
I would like to revote because
Okay.
I did not understand all the technicalities.
So as of right now, the motion on the table is deadline for applications September 30th, presentations in October, voting in November, which would mean that checks couldn't be issued out until after the meeting in December, when those meeting minutes, the consent agenda is approved.
But these are for 2022, so.
Correct, but FY 2022 starts October 1st, which
No,
means
not for this. We do that on a calendar year.
promotional funds
Uh-huh.
are on a fiscal year, not a calendar
No,
year.
they're calendar year.
Because our budget is
No.
fiscal year.
Our budget is a fiscal year, but traditionally, we have all done the promotions on a calendar year.
That would,
I know it's
could be
confusing.
why so
contradicts-
much of the financials are
that
screwed up.
contradicts a whole statement that was
Because
made at
if
our
you
last
do-
meeting.
If
Well-
you do everything as a fiscal year, you're looking at a fiscal,
Okay, so
if we're doing promotional funding, it needs to be on a fiscal
we just
calendar.
approved to for 2021,
for FY 2021, which is fiscal year,
right?
which would be from October 1st of 2020 to September 30th, 2021. That is the fiscal year.
I know that,
So
but that
we
is
just
not how we've
approved that.
previously done it.
Okay, and that would lead back to my statement of that would probably be why a lot of the financials in the audit, why there might be issues.
I
If you're on
doubt
a
it. I
fiscal
seriously,
calendar,
if you go back to 18 and 19, there were issues.
okay. So a fiscal calendar is a fiscal calendar.
I understand that.
So
I totally get it, but I'm just saying how it's previously been done.
okay, well,
Yeah, no.
whatever's previously been done.
I can
what
tell you
is the
previously
right
done,
thing?
the
What
right thing is
what
fiscal year, which would be October 1st,
This should be in
December
our bylaws
30th.
how this is supposed to be done. So where's that?
Our budget goes September 30th, or
I agree.
October 1st to September 30th. We stay on that. We're on a fiscal year. So our budget that we would be ratifying, that the city finally approves and is done by October of 2021, shows everything for fiscal year 2022. And anything from October 1st of this year on is fiscal year 2022.
I understand that.
So yes, we can have events going between October and December before we're done that fall under the promotional fiscal year 2022 funds. There any questions on that?
So what are we doing?
Okay. So we have that vote on the, do I need to restate what the motion is on the table?
I know what it is. I'm okay with
Okay.
it. I don't know what.
So all in favor? 2 in favor? 2 opposed? I'm opposed to it. Motion fails.
Okay.
All right. Do we have another motion?
I'll make a motion that we set the deadline for September 30th for the applications to come in, and that we take presentations at our October meeting, and we go ahead and vote in our October meeting.
Okay.
I'll
Do we have
second
s-
the motion.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Lauren seconds.
How many times we have to go through?
Do we have discussion? So this is for the same as the last one.
But we're gonna do it in October.
We're at
Is
a vote
we're
in
going to do
October.
we're going to do everything in October. So applications would be due by September 30th. Presentations and action taken on presentations to be done in the October meeting.
And we can always call a special meeting.
And we can always call a special.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
'Cause
I
it's-
think
it
you're
is
probably
on-
gonna get a consensus on this vote.
Okay.
I hope.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, Alan, Lauren, and Christine in favor, Laura opposed. Okay, motion passes. Okay, back to 13A, advertising for applications of promotional funding. So, like I was saying, I would like to see pushing out advertising, making sure that everybody's aware that this is what's in our bylaws. Well, now with the new change a month earlier, I want everybody to have enough notice to get their applications in, and not to be upset if they don't get them in. Do we have a motion? Yes, Laura.
I make a motion that we, I don't know if advertising is the right word, but advertise the deadline for applications to be in as September 30th.
Okay. Do we have
I'll second that.
second discussion? Is there a specific medium we can put these advertisements in? I know we can put them in the papers,
Public notice.
public notice.
Is
Right.
an official thing.
Yeah, it needs to
That
be
would, that would be official, but I also want to reach out to people that have done it in the past
I would suggest that we email everyone and let them know.
Okay.
I would also like to open it up to
Other organizations.
right, you know,
Yeah.
not showing special treatment to previous, you know, people who have selected it, but really making the effort to get this information out there to the people that may not know about it. And I think that's important. A lot of the ways we advertise, I feel like we're reaching the same people. So I do think it's important that we open up new ways of advertising and reaching. One thing I think that we should do is have a presence on LinkedIn. That's a huge, development and business platform, and I think that us not having a presence on it is detrimental to us.
I would agree wholeheartedly, and I think you make an excellent point about just reaching out to the same people over and over again.
Well, and that's
So-
what I was gonna say.
Right.
If you can do something and send it to the chamber, I'll always post on the chamber page.
So we've got public notice, we've got the newspapers, we've got the chamber that we can push out. We've got email lists that already exist to be able to push out.
Right, and that, as far as email list, you mentioned that. Do we have an email list of all the businesses in Bandera? Can we get that from the chamber?
So
we
that
were
are
only the
part
ones
of
that are
that?
chamber
Why
members.
would
We're only chamber, we would only be.
It doesn't go to businesses. This is non-profit
Non-profit.
No, well,
primarily.
promotional can be for-profit, non-profit, it can be anything.
And
But
who
we've
are we
got-
wanting to receive these funds, or what are we then particularly trying to encourage here, or put these funds towards?
The promotion of Bandera.
promotion
Of Bandera
of
County,
Bandera.
has to be Bandera County.
Right. To
What's
generate revenue, which would be predominantly through the sales tax, which is business,
That's
correct?
what funds you.
Okay, so that's what the
10% of our funds can be for this.
For promotional spending.
Right. Right, and we don't get our final end of the year tax till the end of October.
Right. Okay.
So we don't know
our final finances
Right.
until then.
and we will probably have to do a budget amendment because we'll do our projections when we do our workshop.
Right.
But then in October we'll have to amend. Patricia, did you?
I was just gonna say, it is actually, would be to the events that truly generate additional sales tax revenue in Bandera County. But specifically since it's the city, something like a parameter, if a huge event happened at the Flying L, that's close enough that people are more than likely going to our Mansfield Park.
Your
Simple as
summer
that.
rodeo series
Right.
out at Mansfield Park,
Generate sales tax.
Right.
your, Mardi Gras
Oh, yeah.
puts
So-
heads in beds and generates a lot of sales tax.
To answer your question about a list of businesses, the chamber pretty much, it's who is a member
Of the right.
of the chamber. So, I mean, yeah, there's other ones out there that, we probably have email addresses for that we have tried to solicit to join, but not every business joins.
Right.
So there is a website that will show you every business within the county and contact info. It doesn't make it easy to break down into a nice spreadsheet to do the email addresses, but there is a way to be able to pull that. But I would say, rather than emailing every business and saying that, because that would just
Right.
be
Right.
And
Absolutely
especially if
crazy.
it's predominantly for events anyway. I
Right.
understand that. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Um,
Huh.
So I do like the idea of social media. At the end, we can put that as an agenda for next month,
Right.
to create those types of accounts. But I think as far as public notice, and what we've already gotten, that's a good start to get
Right.
that out there, that's changed.
I agree.
Alright, any other discussion on it? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay. Item 14, future agenda items. Like I just said, I would like to see on next month's agenda, discussion and possible action on creating social media accounts for the EDC. Anyone else?
Oh, I think we highlighted some things, but we've already said future agenda, so.
That close the motion, second motion? Is that all you wanted?
No, that's not it.
It's like you
Oh.
don't need a motion, just things you would like. We're
Like
just
Right.
stating them right now.
Anything that you wanna see on the next?
That we haven't already discussed.
That's it.
Okay.
I think,
I feel like we've gone through so much, I can't think anyways.
Item 15. At this time, 7:31, we will be going into closed session. Okay, it is 8:12. I'm calling back into session Bandera Economic Corporation after closed session, going into item 16, actions following closed session. Yes, Laura.
I'd like to make a motion to have Christine proceed with issuing a contract for the purchase of the land not to exceed $65,000.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion?
The word contract needs to be amended to offer.
Okay,
And do
I
we want to put in?
amend my
Yeah,
motion.
That's a lot like the last motion we had in the last meeting.
Well, I
Are you
know,
actually gonna make an offer, or?
Yes.
That's,
I mean, we're making a motion to, so it's open for discussion.
Okay.
and do we, okay, so,
Okay, hang on. We have to put the motion on the table to have the discussion. Unfortunately, it has to be seconded so that we can go into discussion. So that's where we're at.
okay. So, discussion is asked to change that to an offer, and would you like to add an amount?
I do.
We should
Then-
Not to
no,
exceed.
not to exceed, but, do we even want to talk about financing of it at this point? Or do we want to save
so-
that until it goes later into
so
the
the
process?
offer-
It has no bearing on the offer.
So the offer,
No, it doesn't.
well, it doesn't, yes and no, because there is a, in a real estate offer, you state in the offer whether you are paying cash or whether you're paying by a third party, vendor. And at which point then there's a third party addendum that has to be, you don't have to state who, what bank or anything like that, but you do have to acknowledge that there will be a third party. That's how they know it's not a cash offer that we are seeking, because if we were denied,
Okay.
then it would,
I will-
the contract
Can
would
I
be terminated.
amend my
Or
motion?
the offer would be terminated. So,
Yes.
oh, one more thing, because we're gonna have this, so, it won't go through a title company per se, we'll go to an attorney, we'll have our attorney look at it. He's already pretty much said, you know, I'm not a real estate guy, so okay, I'll review it for the right things, but, probably Runke is who we would use out there in, on 16. And we would just go to him, and so this would be, it's a for sale by owner, and so we don't have to go through the title company, we'll go to the attorney, and he'll do the paperwork, so it's a lot less closing costs than that of a title company.
Absolutely.
So that's part of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Laura?
I'd like to amend my motion to include a down payment of $10,000 from the meat market and $10,000 from.
Not going to the line items just yet, just
Okay.
an amount
Well,
that
I was
you'd like
trying
to
to
place
be
down.
specific.
Just an amount that you'd like down.
20,000.
Okay. So right now, the motion is to submit an offer for no more than 65,000 with a 20,000 down payment on the offer.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, discussion.
Discussion.
Okay. I was just trying to get something out.
Right, so again, are we going to state that this is, so by doing the down payment, we're saying we're going third party, so we need to pursue the bank situation.
Yes,
Okay, that's what I needed to be clear of.
yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? What are y'all's thoughts on this?
All for nothing, yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you some other things that I know, that just, so he, I know he's worked with Runkey when he just had that property, that there's a house, the 2 lots he's keeping were deeded, they just did a deed change, and so that needs to be, it's not, it was done, it's probably been recorded, the appraisal district's not got caught up on that, so that's one of the things I will make sure that the attorney looks into and make sure that that's handled. What I'm not 100% sure of, I don't think it's necessary to have a survey done because it's lot and block. And he's kind of on the thing that maybe, so that's going to be a question for the attorney is, does he really think that that's necessary? I don't, because typically when it's lot and block, the bank doesn't require a survey. Because they can see that these boxes mean these, it's already been surveyed and we're not developing it, it's not developed, so there's been no change. The posts are in the ground, they just have to be located. But when it's lot and block, typically a lender will not require a survey. So that's one thing, that is about a $500 expense that we don't want to have to do.
Gotcha.
If it has to be done, he's not going to pay for it, so that would be on us. He's not real keen at paying any closing costs, but at this point, they're very minimal going through the attorney. So, that is just a piece of the negotiation
Okay.
that we usually just split those fees, and it's like, it was $300 for him to get the warranty deed done. So it'll be like that plus a little bit more, there's a little incidental fees that go through all that. But it's not gonna be a bunch of money like the title company.
Is it gonna cause us more disruption to involve the bank? Is this gonna take us more time to get through the process by including the bank?
I don't know, I mean, it's, yes, but they would probably,
It's always easier to just do a cash transaction.
sure, it's
Especially when.
By doing the bank, so if he approves the offer, now we've gotta go back to the city. The city's gotta go through, I would say simultaneously, we go down and we fill out the application at the bank so that
right.
it's already processing and going with the bank knowing that it's up to the city
Yeah, I mean,
finalizing it, but
this happens
you're
all the time.
always-
This is why you, in real estate, this is why you get a client pre-approved before you make the
Right,
offer.
right.
So that banking stuff is already pretty much done. So we need to, whether we follow through and actually do this, we should still start the process with the bank. If we stop, we stop. It's no sweat off
Okay.
us, it doesn't cost us any money to get the application rolling and have whatever due diligence we need to do with the bank.
but they're, as a corporation, getting a loan for something like, it's always going to cause more, there's going to be more involved than if it's just a straight cash transaction.
So it's pretty
Do y'all
standard.
think a cash transaction
Well,
would
what
be
would
better?
that put us,
I,
what
like
would
I
that
said,
put our numbers
I
at?
think there's pros and cons to
If we
both.
pay
I
equal
don't,
65 right
don't
now, what is that gonna put our bank account at?
I mean, does she have QuickBooks right there?
Do you have the QuickBooks available?
I do.
So you could tell us like what's in the,
right now, our account balance is 400,000. Give or take,
I
and
can't.
that
I'm
doesn't
logging in right
include
now.
any of the checks that we've got coming out or any of the payments as soon as the bank cards are done. But July 1st is coming, that's the end of the third quarter for taxes, and so we should be getting another lump sum,
Right.
roughly 20 days.
My personal opinions are, if we're gonna do this, we should just do it cash.
That's fine. I'm
Would be
totally,
my preference, just to.
I'm totally fine with that. I was just throwing something out to get
Yeah.
a motion
Well,
on the table.
Right, no, and I understand,
and
and
there's
you
merit in
brought
what
up
Alan
excellent
says,
points,
yeah,
so let me put your
absolutely.
points on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did y'all want the amount?
Yes, go ahead, yes.
It's
If we're gonna
not what's on the bank right now, it's just what I've inputted so far. Okay, so it's $535,229.
Oh, well,
So,
never mind then.
yeah.
That's,
No, I,
Did you hear-
I don't think
Is
it's.
that,
did you
I'm
hear?
sorry.
is that including the checks that we've got going out?
Yes, those have already been generated.
Okay.
500,000.
500,000.
Yeah, it was 490 something, some change.
She just read it.
Yeah, so if you look at the budget versus actuals, I generated that for, what was it, like a few days ago? I think
I
the
think there's
date's
one
on
in
there.
It's not a matter of we don't have the cash in
Yeah.
hand, it's just a matter of
Yeah.
we want to spend
Put
it
it
this
towards
way.
this.
Okay, any more discussion
I
on
think
it?
this is a very reasonable
So
price
then-
for property.
Well,
So this
as
is,
far as the motion
that's
on the table.
that's the motion, so does it need to be amended?
All right, let me amend the motion. I make the motion that we pay cash for up to 65,000
So the motion on the table is to make an offer
for
to
65,000.
the landowner for no more than 65,000 cash.
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second for the amended? Christine seconds. Discussion. Any more discussion? Okay. All in favor? Laura, Christine in favor.
Abstain.
Alan abstains.
Don't know enough yet.
Okay. Alright, motion passes. So
Okay.
you are good to
Okay,
send an offer letter to that individual.
and Alan, send me a list of your questions. I mean, I'll do my due diligence to, answer whatever I can.
Oh,
Well,
no,
and-
I just don't think it's a wise investment.
Okay.
That's all there is to it. I own a lot of real estate, guys, all over the state. It doesn't look like a prime to me.
Understand.
What are your thoughts on the park and adding to that value?
Well, number one, doesn't have access to the park.
But will it still count towards the overall?
Neither
total?
does
Oh,
Har-
of course
Well,
it does.
neither does this one right here.
This one behind us is a park. We have parks,
Yeah, but it does not interconnect. Okay, it's gonna be a standalone park.
yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
just
just
contributes to
parkland.
this, it contributes to the acreage.
But that's really all we're doing, is adding
Yeah.
to the acreage of the park to
Because
put ourselves in better standing. But I do, I would
Heritage
like
Park
to know.
over
is
here.
counted.
Yeah.
This isn't, because this is a county park. Sandage Park is county. So that
Oh, that's
actually
right, this
doesn't
is county.
count, because that's county land right there. But Heritage Park does, there's another spot somewhere that's
Mhm.
parkland in the,
But on the flip side, if you look all the way back here, there is nothing with playground equipment back there for any
No.
of the. So seeing another like Heritage Park back there with playground equipment can do nothing but help.
and so the city has been, the last grant that we got through the Parks program, we just got, the grant for the playground equipment to go over by the skate park.
Yep.
So we will have that coming. So
Oh,
that,
yeah, the
that was a
skate-
benefit
yeah.
of the park grant that Jill's been,
Right.
and she's been working on that for almost a year and a half. So she is constantly working on the park grant stuff, because that's how we're getting money to do stuff in the park.
Right.
Mhm.
And so whatever does get contributed,
Okay.
so, okay.
Item 17. Any more comments from the board? Yes, Laura.
I make a motion to adjourn.
No, we have to establish next, you're jumping ahead,
Oh.
we're only on 17, lady.
Any
Oh,
other
sorry.
comments?
You can tell her. My bladder's
Okay.
telling me something.
Next EDC meeting, the fourth Friday,
Thursday.
fourth Thursday,
Yeah, like, wait.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
would be July 22nd.
Okay.
So July 22nd at City Hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will not be available July
Ooh,
22nd.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
So do we need to,
When are you available?
At least for a week following July 22nd.
For a
okay.
week following that.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we need to move it to the,
Do you want to do the 15th? Would the 15th
yeah, cause city
15th
council
work for
moved
everyone?
theirs to Mondays,
to
right?
Mondays? Yes.
Okay.
They are the second, fourth, third Mondays of the month.
15th?
The 15th which would be the third Thursday of July.
Wait a minute, we did do that. I told them I can't. Oh well.
They did do that.
Well then,
Well,
I'll just.
what, no,
then I'll
is
just
it
get-
maybe it's Tuesday.
It's
No,
gotta
it's
be.
Mondays.
It's Tuesday. It can't be Mondays, otherwise I'm getting kicked off the
No.
council. I have
But
a
they
meeting-
changed it to the,
They
to,
changed it so I could be
Yes,
here. So
they
it can't
did.
be a Monday. It's a Tuesday. Anyway, sorry. It's not Thursdays.
Okay. It's not Thursdays.
I know they changed it, so
So
you,
would July 15th work for everybody?
yes.
Sure. Why
Okay,
not?
July 15th
I'm sure there's
City
something going
Hall.
on that day.
at 5:30. Okay, do I have any other motions?
To adjourn.
Second.
Alright, seconded, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed.